Welcome back, everyone, to the Brain Soul Success Show. I am here with my good friend, Rachel Varga. You're in for another big treat today. Rachel is amazing. Okay. She is a double board certified esthetician nurse specialist since 2011 with over 20,000 procedures performed. She's a host of the top 20 podcast, Always Radiant Skin. She's an international clinical trainer for other physicians and nurses, a celebrity skin expert, right? Featured by Dave Asprey and JJ Virgin and more. She's an international speaker. Wow, you've done a lot of stuff. You're awesome. Like some of this I know, some of it I didn't know, right? So I'm sharing all of this with you and going, wow, she's a 6-time academic published award-winning author in the field of regenerative and esthetician nursing, as well as on the executive board member and peer reviewer for the USA-based Plastic and Aesthetic Nursing Journal. She's a regular contributor to the UK-based Journal of Aesthetic Nursing. You know, when I first met you, Rachel, I didn't even understand what aesthetic nursing is. We're going to dive into that. I'd love for you to explain that to everyone here. And I know you're one of the very first to combine functional slowing aging techniques. Like you do some great biohacking work, right? You're kind of combining esthetician, skincare, biohacking in such an amazing, beautiful way. Those through education to, at home courses. So she teaches courses on how you can have healthy skin and radiant skin and beautiful, healthy hair. And all these amazing biohacking tools. I love that. You guys are going to love this conversation. So you also help inspire others to really feel radiant from the inside out. I think that's what I love.
do. Yeah.
I love that. I just got to say, love that. So welcome. I'm so glad you're with us today. I'm excited to dive in.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm simply a humble human on a mission here to help people look and feel their best, and in the process, help to cultivate some happy, healthy, radiant humans that are then going to have their brains right, have their skin glowing, be radiant. We'll actually talk about what radiance actually is in accordance, actually, Ayurveda medicine. And we'll very likely tiptoe into some biohacking for the skin, some rejuvenation options, and where I think the future of skin and brain health are going.
Oh, I like that. Absolutely. Wow, absolutely. Well, how did you even, like, you've been doing this for a long time. How did you even get into not just nursing, but aesthetic nursing? Can you describe that?
Yeah, so esthetician and aesthetic nursing is totally different. So there's like
Okay.
beauty school, aesthetic school. And then what I did after I finished getting my bachelor's of science in nursing is then I then got a double board certification to then call myself a certified aesthetic nurse specialist. So double board certified. And before I did medical aesthetics, I was a pediatric ICU trach vent nurse. And that was very difficult on my brain. I was actually getting up in the middle of the night thinking that these poor little ones needed a trach change that were on ventilators. So it was very difficult on my system. Definitely some PTSD from that I had to work through. So that type of nursing wasn't the best for me. And I learned from my mother, who is also a registered nurse. She did night shifts, geriatric care primarily. I learned how to not be a nurse because
Okay.
she spent her whole life caring for others and not herself. She actually got really sick. So I learned from a really young age to have a nursing career that was also conducive to slowing aging and having beautiful work-life balance and all of that. So after nursing, I didn't quite feel done with my education. I then looked at becoming a physician, a naturopath, or a dentist. So on top of my bachelor's of science in nursing, I also have my med school prerequisites. So 1 year in Gen Chem, organic chem, biochem, which has come in very handy in understanding skincare and ingredients and formulations and how all this biohacking stuff can impact the skin. And I partnered up with a oculoplastic surgeon. So if you think about the skin medical field, you have your dermatologist, then you have your plastic surgeon, and I was pretty much at the top with the oculoplastic. So we focused on a lot of eyelid surgeries, eye cancers, ocular disorders. Half the population have dry eye. And then I started
Yes.
to notice some common trends in people that had clear skin, red and inflamed skin, and that responded really well to rejuvenation. And I thought to myself, I don't think I want to do 6 years of med school at least. I love what I'm doing. And then I started to get into the space of teaching and presenting and podcasting and sort of doing my own thing as an aesthetic nurse, which is really fun. And I've never looked back, love what I'm cultivating and the way that I'm serving others.
Oh, that's really beautiful. I love the background. I love to hear the stories of how people get to where they are, right? And then you had your mom was a nurse. And like you said, you learn what not to do too. So I think that's why you're so good at your self-care, right?
Well, no one's going to put your oxygen mask on for you. And I've
Mhm.
just seen so much in my one on one care with my clients all over the place. I was doing Zoom calls in 2017 because people were actually flying in to see me from across the globe. So I've have been doing this online type of work before people even knew what Zoom was. And I just noticed that people were not getting necessarily the correct direction in
Mhm.
accordance and customized to their values, their budget, their lifestyle. Because not everybody wants to do injectable rejuvenation. Not everyone wants surgery. So there are some other things that we can do at home to support the skin. But really, when we focus on the brain truly is the master control center for
Mhm.
everything else in the body. If the brain's off, I mean, hello, nervous system dysregulation, mold exposure. I was in 2 car crashes, as you know, that you helped me through as well with my brain. Thank you
Mhm.
so much.
You're welcome. Yes.
When we get the brain right, everything
Mhm.
else follows. And when my brain got rocked, I actually experienced more breakouts, hair loss, nervous system dysregulation. So once I got that all sorted out, I was actually able to focus more on home care with skincare, peels, dermal rolling, biohacking, and a lot less in clinic rejuvenation, which is really cool.
So it really did come again from your journey. Yeah, I do remember working with you with the brain, and I agree. That if your brain isn't aligned, you're not going to be aligned. Everything starts with that brain. It is the master control tower. So we got your brain working again, and you got yourself back balanced, and now you teach others how to keep their skin healthy. And what are some of the problems that people come to you with mostly? If you think about, do you get different ages of people? Are you working with mostly women in menopause? Give us some tips on that.
Yeah, I would say the primary ages of my clients are, I'd say 35 to 70. So I do
Okay.
have some 70, 80-year-old clients and even 90-year-old clients as well. So
Uh,
no matter what your age is, I've
mm,
worked with people of all ages, but primarily that's where I focus on. And the skin conditions that I have my clients tell me are really important to them to address. That's their skin goals is
mhm.
pigmentation, acne, bug bites and acne taking forever to go away. So I can actually talk about something really fun I discovered as
Okay.
a bit of a natural repellent. And also how to cultivate more collagen in the skin and address things like sagging and laxity and also hair loss. And a lot of my
Mhm,
clients are also really complaining of brain fog. And then what I do is
mm,
I go a little bit deeper with my clients and find out a little bit about their lifestyle too.
mhm,
Because when we're dysregulated nervous system wise, also when we're imbalanced with our masculine and feminine aspects of ourselves too,
mhm,
or with our identity, right? Our brain is a bit scrambled. All of those aspects, our personality archetypes, our identity, our masculine and feminine balance, our nervous system dysregulation, when all of these aspects are humming along, that's when clear skin happens. So, in fact, when we have skin issues, including eczema, psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, precancerous lesions, these can really come up and we start to notice them a little bit more when the body's under stress. And I just wrote a paper
mhm.
on oxidative stress status and the skin to help people understand how biohacking can truly help with purifying their environment, to purify their body, to help them get better skin and slow aging.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so give us a tip from that paper. Obviously when we have under stress, you're going to see more acne, you're going to see more hair loss, you're going to see all that cuz stress is the cause of all dis-ease. right? Any imbalance in the body. And I always think it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic field. There are stressors in all those areas that can affect people. So what you're seeing and you're working with, and I know there's going to be people asking this question, how do you work with acne? Can you get it gone?
Yeah, I'll be the first to tell you that if you are menstruating, if you're still having a monthly cycle, you probably will still get the odd one pop up with the timing of your cycle. However, what we want to learn to do is to become really in tune with our body and what our skin is trying to tell us. So, say, for example, you get a little bit of a blemish, which I did just the other day.
Mhm.
It should go away in about 3 days. And then that post inflammatory hyperpigmentation, the redness afterwards, should then go away in about 3 days after that.
Okay.
If you're having a delay in that redness, that's actually called post inflammatory hyperpigmentation. That can be a sign of internal inflammation, which is often related to some aspect of your toxic bucket, otherwise known as the oxidative stress status. So, say, for example, you're stressed out in
Mhm.
an aspect of your body, mind, spirit, and energy, it's going to add to that toxic. Say you go out and have a dinner and there's canola oil, goodness forbid, those forever chemicals, smoking of our generation. There's a second smoking of our generation, electromagnetics, which we will talk about. But basically, if we can reduce the likelihood of toxins entering our system
Mhm.
via air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, and organisms like yeast, fungi, heavy metals, and mold,
Mhm.
then we're going to have the best chance possible for this toxic bucket or oxidative stress status to be as empty as possible. And when this is as empty as possible, guess what? Your brain is going to function much better. And I'll be the first to tell you that's what detoxing parasites truly did. It's actually had some in my central nervous system, and 80% of you listening have them. So don't think you're too good or above this conversation.
Right.
We exchange organisms amongst one another with going barefoot, shaking hands, exchanging breath, eating leafy greens, if you have furry loved ones, all these things. So there are some 5 key basics that I can definitely cover in regards to biohacking to keep the brain clear and also thus the skin clear.
What very well said. Because what I found, and it's interesting on my path of getting my brain working again and my whole health back, because I crashed, right? I really had quite a crash. What I realized was it wasn't just about the brain, but it was the whole body, brain, gut, heart relationship. We're whole people. But what's really interesting is I had acne as a child, and I remember being 16 and I had really bad acne. And I think my mom took me to the dermatologist and they put me on antibiotics. So I was on all those tetracycline antibiotics at that time. But who knew years later, right? I was going to suffer with this traumatic, brain stuff and really crash and go through this dark night of the soul, and found exactly what you're talking about, that we have to do the detoxing. So when I started detoxing and eating healthy foods and eating organic foods and changing the electromagnetic stuff in my house, and just keeping the total load down of that bucket, my skin cleared up, my brain cleared up, my health got better. I had more energy. I kind of felt better in my 40s than I did in my 20s after I got better. It took me 16 years. It took a long, long time. But it was about detoxing. And so I appreciate you sharing. Hey, you know what? If you're here and you're listening, 80% of you probably have some parasites. Reach out to someone like a Rachel if you're working on your skin, or myself, or a functional medicine person, but reach out to somebody and get some help in getting and detoxing so you can feel healthy again and get full brain power and have beautiful skin, right?
Oh, absolutely. I will be fully transparent here, though, that in my discussions and research with 30 plus year parasitologists, a lot of the information that they know is not shared in the more general medical setting.
Mhm.
So even in my nursing education, I had one page in my 6 years of education on parasites, one page, and it affects 80% of us. So
Yeah.
there's a good chance. Oh, There's some thunder outside here in Southern Florida. It's very exciting here. Speaking of electromagnetics, we'll talk about that. But there's a good chance when you work with a practitioner that they'll kind of be like, oh, no, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have any overt signs. I had no signs and symptoms of parasites, none. And then I started to detox, and then I started to purge, and it was like, whoa, if my body could handle that excess load in my toxic bucket. But so many people, they get an exposure to a couple things all at once. They get stressed out, body, mind, spirit, energy, relationships, work, family life. And then boom, that bucket tips over. You get the eczema, psoriasis, the hair loss, the brain fog, the disturbances with sleep, the imbalance with hormones. And then it plays out in wreaking havoc on the way that you talk to yourself with your brain function, with the higher brain kind of chiming in too much. And then it's going to negatively impact your relationships with those closest to you. Or what happened to me when I detoxed, I realized that the life that I was living was no longer in my highest because I started to see things clearly. So when I recommend approaching detoxing, I actually recommend approaching purification first. Otherwise, you're just going to keep detoxing. You're never going to really get to where you want to get. You have to start with purification. And it actually takes, in my personal opinion, priestess style purification. This isn't, take a 10-day cleanse and you're set, right?
Right.
No, this is ongoing every day, making smarter choices, and every month doing different cleansing protocols. So why don't we just start with the elephant in the room that you experienced when you were younger? You went to the doctor, you were likely given creams, you were likely given antibiotics, but it wasn't addressing the root cause. So yes, we want to use excellent, clean, toxin-free skincare products, hair care products, personal grooming products, maybe seek out some in-clinic rejuvenation, which is where I come in with one-on-one sessions. However, we also want to be doing the other aspects of our home care too, in both our home life and, say, our office life. So why don't we start with air first?
Okay, so you want to talk about all the different areas that affect us and how we can have some, be empowered here and have some tools to really take care of ourselves. And your definition of purification, it sounds like, Rachel, is it's an ongoing process of self-care.
Oh, yeah. And it's ever evolving. So basically, I needed to create a research paper on this topic so that I can talk about this, right? As a credible practitioner, I can only really share things that are backed by a published research article. It's just how the media world works when you're presenting. So sometimes I'll actually write papers so that I can, talk about and have peer reviewed what I think in my head is important, because I do tend to think about things differently. My clients and podcast listeners have told me this for many years. They love listening to me on the show because I think about things from a really different lens than other, say, health influencers do. So when it comes to the skin, did you know that the number one way your body gets exposure to heavy metals is actually from the air? So for those of you who are not washing your face in the AM, I didn't say morning. We don't want to mourn the morning. Very specific on words that I use because words are essentially programs. And that's something that I teach somewhere else too, so that we communicate more effectively with ourselves and others. So we want to cleanse the skin in the AM and a double cleanse in the PM before going to bed. So washing the skin, don't just be a water splasher. Water splashers have the worst skin, especially if you're just using tap water. You do want to be using some type of cleanser to get rid of dirt, debris, heavy metals, and mold in the skin, in the air actually. And then in the evening, your first cleanse is going to be removing cosmetic creams, dirt, debris from the air, any makeup. And then your second cleanse is actually going to be washing your skin. So for those of you with dry eye or rosacea or things like that, you're probably not washing your face properly. And then the debris from the air can actually mess with, get this, your keratinocyte stem cells in your skin and lead to early cell death. This is what I uncovered in the research on the toxicity of air on the skin. So that's why cleansing is so important, not just splashing with water or, trying to use a cheapo cleanser. You do want to use one that's specific to your skin needs. So that's why air purification is so important, not to mention you're going to sleep better and reduce your exposure to heavy metals. Let me know if you have any questions about air, then we can talk about water.
I like the air part. Because I mean, I guess I'm conscious of everything because I had to learn to be, going through my whole journey. And I have air cleaners in my house and we do that, but I can actually tell sometimes, but I'm very intuitive when I'm in like a toxic environment. Like whether you're, whether it's outside, it's really hot. It's like 101 degrees here lately, this last week, if we're outside, or you're in a big city and there's car exhaust and there's all this stuff that's affecting you. That's air. We're breathing it and it's going on our skin, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The whole point of being super pure is really so that you hit the nail on the head, so that you can become more in tune with what your
Mhm.
body wants.
Yes.
That's why purification is really of the essence of radiance, which I will share a actual description of radiance with this beautiful thunder in the background. You can probably hear it
I
coming.
love it. Send it this way because we need that rain.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, you'll notice this if you go into, an older church or an older friend or family member's home, and you can kind of smell that something's a little danky or funky. That's probably mold.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, we got to be in the world, but not of the world. So you're still going to get exposure to things. That's why the
Yes.
detoxing is more on the back end, but it's ongoing as
Mhm.
well as the ongoing purification in your home. So have some great air purifiers that you can use in your bedroom, your main living space, in your home office. That I have a favorites biohacking page on my website or make it super easy. But the water purification aspect is really, really, really key. And we often don't think about this, what we're washing our bodies with, what water we're using to wash our hair. So,
Yes.
one of the simple things you can do if you can't afford a full home reverse osmosis system, RO system, is to at least install a shower filter so
Mhm.
that you're bathing, you're rinsing, you're brushing your teeth, you're washing your face, you're washing your hair with filtered water, especially if you struggle with dry skin or when I get really stressed out and I have an overaccumulation of toxins in my body, I get some acne. And then as soon as I just clean things up, that goes away really fast. Same with scalp irritation. That's a really common thing for clients to mention when they're stressed out is scalp irritation. So bathing in filtered water and then drinking filtered water. This is a non-negotiable. Don't drink the tap water at restaurants. So important.
Mhm.
And you will notice that that in and of itself will start to help your skin. But the water purification is essential because the pipes that carry water from the water treatment plants are often full of biofilms. And you never see those pipes being dug up and cleaned out. Those pipes are disgusting. They're filled of all sorts of accumulation of phthalates, not to mention PVC piping releases phthalates into the water, which is a
Mhm.
known a hormone disruptor and all of that. So water purification, 100% non-negotiable, super important.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's super important as well. Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely I have a whole house water filter and I have a reverse osmosis under my kitchen sink. And if you are drinking reverse osmosis water, it's hungry. That means it's missing an electron. So you have to add some minerals back in. Otherwise, you're stripping some minerals out of your body.
Well,
So
I'm so
that's
glad you mentioned that.
yeah, that's really important too. So yeah, I know that's what I'm doing too here.
I'm sipping on
Um,
right here. Always, always. And one of the other things for the brain health is to always make sure that you're sipping on superfoods and adaptogens. So I preach about that stuff from the mountaintops. I'm glad you mentioned it first. The other thing
yes.
that I do that's really cool is I actually take Gans water. And I use that after I get out of the shower with filtered water and get those minerals back on my skin. So, more coming with that with an upcoming product that I'm releasing, because not only do we want to remineralize what we're putting in our bodies, but there's
Mhm.
also some cool things that we can do topically that also help to improve the human biofield.
Love that because your skin is your largest organ. So we have an inside skin and an outside skin, right? So when you take care of yourself inside, that's what Rachel's teaching us here, right? Through the air and the water and what we eat and breathe, right? Because when you take care of your skin inside, it's going to show up on the outside. So it's not just about putting
100%.
stuff on it, right? It's
I
taking
mean, it's
care
an
of the,
important part, right? Putting
yeah,
those things on the skin, which you know, right? You
yeah.
use some of my skin and makeup recommendations, which is why you're so fabulous also.
Mhm.
And it's always a balance. It's a balance about finding products that are actually going to work and deliver while also still being free of parabens, phthalates, sulfates, artificialized fragrances.
Yes.
So, actually, a practice that I do, which most medical aesthetics clinics don't do, is every quarter. And I'm actually doing this right now. I'm on C of my e-store list of all the different products that I offer. And I actually always look at the ingredients and formulations of each product that I sell because I sell from about 15 to 17 different practitioner grade lines.
Hmm.
And so it's my job to distill down the best of the best and leave out the duds. Companies like to reformulate things
Hmm.
like that. So I'm on it so you don't have to be. So the next thing that's really important to talk about, we talked about air, we talked
Hmm.
about water, and
Hmm.
next up we want to talk about lighting.
Okay.
So most of us are inside, and what happens if we don't get enough sunrise or sunset exposure and we get too much blue light exposure? What happens to our circadian rhythm?
Oh, it goes off. Yeah, when I'm in the front of the computer all day long and I didn't get outside in the sunshine, and I didn't spend some time doing that, I definitely feel, feel that in my body. I can tell. It's like craving it. I will crave it. I'll be like, okay, I've got to go out and water my garden. I got to go spend some time outside.
Boom, perfect.
Yes.
So, but did you know that the blue light radiation that you're getting inside from, say, the LED pot lights in your ceilings, your lamps in your
Mhm.
kitchen, you know, convenience these days is killing us. Let's just call it what it is,
Call it
right?
what it is. Yes.
Let's just point out the elephant in the room. Like all
Uh,
this smart stuff, all this, high efficiency nonsense, it's kicking out just a ton of electromagnetics. Don't get me started on Tesla cars. You might as well be sitting next to your microwave while it's on. Seriously, that's how much emission those things put out. Same with hybrid cars. But we'll
mhm,
get there. We'll get there. We're going to focus on lighting.
mhm,
But did you know that the blue light that you're exposed to inside actually is just as damaging as the UV radiation outside? Now, don't get this confused. Don't get this twisted. I
okay.
love natural sunlight on my body.
Mhm,
However, I always have, cleansed, moisturized, sun protected, maybe an antioxidant serum on the high real estate area. So the face, the neck, side of the neck, top of the chest, top of the shoulder, and the hands
mhm.
always have products there. But then the rest of the body, oh gosh, give me that full body sun exposure at least a little bit every day, getting in that salt water, snorkeling, swimming like a mermaid, living my best life, getting that human biofield cleanse with that gorgeous salt water, all of that. So natural sunlight is really good for the body. Just
Mhm.
keep the high real estate areas protected. Also, while you're working indoors too. And it's really important to also be using blue light blocking glasses like these ones. I took these
Mhm.
off for the purpose of recording, but wearing these kinds of glasses are really important. And I will say that the typical coding from your ophthalmologist is insufficient. So you do want to be using a type of blue light blocking glass that actually works. So these are on my favorites page too. They're like indestructible. And you can also get your prescription in them too. Not to mention,
Mhm.
the eyes are the first area of the face to show signs of aging. So when you are using
Mhm.
blue light blocking glasses, you are going to be protecting the delicate eye area from accelerated aging on your eyelids from blue light, as well as your ocular health. Remember, my
Mhm.
background since 2011 has been in oculoplastics and ophthalmology.
Oh, right.
We're seeing cataract surgery in mid 40-year-olds. This is an 80-year-old disease,
Wow.
not a mid 40s.
Mhm.
So it's the blue light that's impacting our eyes, that impacts the signals for our circadian rhythm, and also EMFs. So let me know if you have any lighting questions, and then we can definitely jump to EMFs.
Let's talk about light bulbs for a minute. So, like, I use the Reveal. I think they're called reveal. The reveal light bulbs, they're supposed to be more uh like regular light. In other words, they're not like fluorescent lights. Like I don't like fluorescent lights. In fact, when I was a teacher, so my first career was teaching, right? I taught special ed kids. So I had a special ed class, and I remember there was a fluorescent light in our classroom that was flickering. It was malfunctioning. And underneath that light, I had a little guy who totally flipped out. He was, I mean, all those kids obviously were sensitive, very much like myself, like yourself, Rachel, were sensitive, empathic people. Well, many of the kids that are, dealing with dyslexia, ADHD, or anything kind of related to that, they're sensitive, beautiful beings too. And I mean, I didn't know that back then. I was in my 20s, right? Just out of college as a teacher. But wow, I remember I had to call the social worker in. That light, the flickering of that fluorescent light, and the way that whatever it was doing really did expose those kids to some harmful rays. And this little guy was super sensitive, and I still remember that. And I thought, we got to get this light fixed. So classrooms too for students are really kind of sometimes pretty toxic, just like the fluorescent lights and they're everywhere. They're in big stores. When you guys goes to big stores and you're shopping, you're going to be under those fluorescent lights. So just be aware of how you feel and don't hang out there for 5 hours, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, we got to be in the world, but not of the world. Just
Yeah.
wear blue light blocking glasses whenever you go out, drive your car, go to the shops. And then in your home, change out all your LED lights to halogen or incandescent.
Yes.
You might have to change your pot lights, and your partner or your electrician will look at you like you are a total nutter and be
Hmm.
like, why do you want to go back in time? Those are more expensive, they're less efficient. But when you're driving and you're going past homes, notice which
Hmm.
homes have this disgusting white, blue, really gross lighting, and then which homes have this beautiful golden, cozy lighting.
Yes.
That's the difference between LED lighting and halogen or incandescent. Sure, you can turn LED lights to look more warm, but they're still emitting this terrible hum,
Hmm.
some EMFs, but it's still damaging lighting. So even if you can make your LED go like a little bit more golden and softer, it's still
Hmm.
LED. So you simply have to change those lights out.
Yeah. You know what? In my office, when I bought my Albuquerque Natural Health Center office, there were all those fluorescent lights, those tubes. And I went to a lighting store and I changed them all out to incandescent. It cost some money, but I was like, I'm not living under these fluorescent lights, And then we used lamps more too, but there were still lights in the halls and in the main room and everything. And I did not want anybody exposed to that. So we changed all the lights. Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel bad for kids these days because, your generation, my generation, we were all kind of exposed to different things. And
Hmm.
with every generation, there's new things. So, with my generation and the younger generation, the biggest things I would say that are truly impacting our health and our brain function, adding to that oxidative stress status, is truly the electromagnetic situation. So, I
Hmm.
think it's worthwhile that we spend some time here, because for any of you who are feeling a little sensitive to smells, sounds, vibrations, getting
Hmm.
distracted really easily, what's happening is your nervous system is dysregulated.
Yes.
So it's harder for you to stay calm. It's harder for you to be in a less stressed out state.
Mhm.
And did you know, in about 2017, I checked out the WHO website, and it said on there that about 15% of the population was electromagnetically hypersensitive. Now,
Yes.
when I was writing this paper, I went to go find that page again and it was gone. So think about in 2017, I think we were on like 2G or 3G. Now we're on 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever G. So, of course, they had to remove that page. I couldn't find it. But then in some of my other research, I found that the more stressed out, oxidative stress status, more full this toxic bucket was, the more likely someone would be electromagnetically hypersensitive.
Yes.
So when we remove the oxidative stress status toxins, that actually limit a systemic response.
Hmm.
So just because you get heavy metals on your skin, in your respiratory tract, you're eating canola oil, getting blue light on your skin and your eyes, it does actually elicit a full body response, a systemic response actually. So if you're kind of like myself, you find yourself wanting to just be in nature all the time. I kind of stumbled upon this, to be honest with you, Louise.
Mhm.
I am from Vancouver Island. Now I'm in South Florida. And about once a week, I would hop in my, previous Jeep, what I started 4x4ing about 200 miles at a cell reception. We're talking hiking and exploring some of those treacherous trails in Canada. One, if you could trail, I'd be on that thing almost every week. I almost joined search and
Nice.
rescue, actually.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
And then that Jeep was kind of, on its last legs. And then I upgraded to, I mean, it was still an older Land Rover, still no, digital stuff. It's an analog vehicle. So when I turn the vehicle on, it responds to me. I do recommend some of these older vehicles actually for that purpose. So you get fewer
Mhm.
EMFs. But I just noticed for that whole week, after I had that off grid day, that my skin was clearer and I was sleeping better. And, I
Mhm.
just felt better.
Mhm.
So by doing something that I listened to my body just really enjoy, I was actually reaping the benefits in other aspects of my life too. So the more we listen to those little niggles of things that bring us joy, it might not only be bringing you joy, it might actually be supportive of you and your body. So electromagnetics is not just about buying these fancy pendants and wearing them and putting the sticker on your cell phone. It comes down to turning your router off at night. It comes
Mhm.
down to
Mhm.
keeping your phone on airplane mode. It
Mhm.
comes down to not using any Bluetooth speakers, devices, or Bluetooth stuff in your car. Move away from the hybrid, move away from the electric vehicles, move
Mhm.
away from the Bluetooth appliances. I mean, come on. Do you really need to turn your spaghetti off from the couch with your phone for boiling on the stovetop?
I know there's so many gadgets of that like that today. Yeah, absolutely.
So we
Yeah.
do want to be turning those things off at the source. And
Mhm.
then again, we want to be in the world, but not of the world. That's also scriptural too, by the way. So wearing electromagnetic shielding clothing is an excellent strategy. And the first time I slept in silver threaded clothing, a brief bottom, a top, and a beanie, was the first night I had 100% sleep score with two trackers, biohacking trackers that I was using.
Cool.
So that told me that, wow, this shielding the body from electromagnetics is really interesting. What's going on? And then in my paper, I discovered that when the body's exposed to electromagnetics, your red blood cells actually start to clump together as
Yes.
opposed to, nicely bumping off one another and the blood flowing, carrying oxygen, nutrients to the organs, hello, the brain, as well as detoxing, hello, the liver and kidneys, right?
Mhm.
So when we're exposed to more electromagnetics, our skin actually gets less blood flow and less detoxing. And we can actually see this on speckle contrast photography. I have this in my
Mm.
paper. So getting outside, going barefoot 30 to 45 minutes a day is an excellent way to discharge the body's excess positive ions and get more of the Earth's negative ions. We get a little bit too positive, so we want to contact the Earth to get those beautiful negative ions to create balance and allow our blood to flow better. So, that's just one thing with the skin and the organs, but we're also seeing ocular diseases with exposure to electromagnetic radiation too.
I totally believe that. Absolutely. I don't know the stats on that right now, but as you're talking, I'm thinking about I was learning all of this in the 19 late eight 1989, 80, 90, 91, 92. That's before anyone knew the word biohacking, right? But I remember I was so sick, I was so sensitive that my body actually found the place to rest on a bunch of blankets in our den, in our family room. And that is where I slept. So I was so sensitive to so many things in the world. I was so toxic. I was full of heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides made me sick. I helped the mayor sue the state of Illinois, we of my town. I became an activist, never knew that was going to happen because those chemicals made me so sick and they would add to that toxic bucket, right? That toxic load. And then I would notice that I was more sensitive to electromagnetic fields. We couldn't watch TV. And I remember getting my very first polarizer, and it was this cone shaped polarizer. Like it looked weird, you guys. and you were supposed to put it on an electrical cord in your house. And remember that my husband at the time put it in the kitchen on an electrical cord, and I was in the next room, and I literally felt my cells, like something inside my body in my solar plexus, turn like a gear shift. And so what I realized in that moment is what you have proven in your papers, okay, and all your research, was that my blood cells. So later I learned that everything should be spinning more towards the right and everything in me was spinning towards the left. My polarity was off.
Yeah, you were reversed. So many people will
I was
walk.
reversed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and it was the coolest feeling. And I still remember it. I still have that polarizer. It's in the garage. It's on the electrical box now. Um, so there is, you know, there are some tools and things you can do to help with all these electromagnetic things, everything from cell phone chips to, you know, like you said, the silver, sleeping in the silver.
No, what
There's
I said was don't bother with those little stickers and the chips.
okay.
So instead, actually shielding. So with your phone, put it in a Faraday pouch. And with your
Okay.
clothing, actually wearing shielding clothing. And then
Okay.
actually in my bed, I have a bottom sheet
Hmm.
that's between my bottom sheet and the bed. It's a silver threaded blanket. And then between my top sheet and my comforter, another silver blanket. So I'm actually sleeping in a Faraday cage.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really,
It's
really cool. Okay.
really important that we do this. And so many people are walking,
Yes.
they don't know how good they can feel until they start to purify. And then the
Yes.
detoxing side of things are so important. And there's two main ways that I've discovered to detox.
Are you going to share those? The
Oh, of
two
course
main
I
ways?
am. Yeah. Well, there's one free way.
Okay.
And just to go back to what you mentioned about you becoming aware of these things in the early 1990s, I'm going to say the research that you were probably pulling on was from Europe.
Yes,
Yeah, it was
absolutely.
all from Europe. Yeah, the
Yep.
Europeans are way ahead of this stuff because
Uh-huh.
there's less red tape. And I actually have a piece of technology right there. It's called the BioWell. And that actually gives me a read of my human biofield. So it will actually pick up on things in my field
Mhm.
and that hasn't manifested. So once I did a reading on myself and it picked up right jaw pain, and then 2 weeks later I had right jaw pain. So
Mhm.
I'm really excited for this one company to make a consumer product so that we can do these check-ins that are, again, it's European energy technology. And human biofield science is a huge emerging field of
Mhm.
science. But again, it's all coming from Europe. We're pretty far behind here. And
Mhm.
the Europeans have been doing their, med spa stuff, retreats with functional gut stuff and all these things. We're just way behind here. So yes, I'm not surprised that the research you were finding is from Europe because that's also a lot of the places I find my research too. And I've been following this stuff for a long time. So
You know, I have all those tools. I've been doing
good.
frequency medicine for over 20
I
years.
know you
So
have.
when you talk about like the, you know, the Europeans ahead of us and stuff, so I can find those risks coming up on people with my biofeedback devices. You know, so I will see things that are in the field, and I'm also teaching people now how to work in the field and actually intuitively go in and clear the traumas that got stuck in the spaces of the brain. So what I know is everything that we're so aligned with here, Rachel, is so important for people to understand and know, to like just take it step by step, start somewhere, you know, clean up your diet first if you need to, clean up your air, get an air cleaner, and start adding these things that Rachel's suggesting here, not just for your skin, but for your whole health, for your whole body, mind, spirit, and your whole health, you
Well,
know,
your whole
and then
family, right?
your whole
You do this for
family.
you,
Absolutely. My
your whole
kids are
family's gonna
totally
benefit.
like they're, I mean, thank God, right? Because you know, Becky was like 5 and Andy was 3 when I was learning this, you know, and so thank God, because yeah, they're super, super healthy. They eat organic food, you know, Becky's gluten free, they're good. They they do all this and they've learned, they grew up with this, right? So thank God, because I don't know where we would be if we hadn't learned all that.
Well,
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about, Louise. We have to lead by example. So it's up to us to put our oxygen mask on first, be those radiant humans, and then other people will notice that we're living differently and we're doing really well, right? So when it comes to detoxing, yes, detoxing the human biofield, the etheric, the ancestral, the galactic. Oh my gosh, this stuff goes on, right? That's only a
Yes.
couple things we're going to mention here.
Uh,
But there are so many aspects of ourselves that when you become more pure, you are regularly detoxing, you will then be able to go much deeper in your meditations and your intuition with what your body, mind, spirit, and your radiant body and all the other aspects to you really
mhm,
need,
mhm,
and you will begin to make better choices. So detoxing, super simple. Draw a really hot bath before bed. So
mhm,
cold therapy in the AM. So with cold shower, cold ice bowl, get that vagus nerve activated in the AM,
mhm,
and the body will naturally want to heat back up. Really good to do your cold therapy in the AM. And then in the PM, do your hot bath. So 2 cups
mhm,
of Epsom salts, 1 cup of borax, 1 cup of baking soda, super old school way to detox radiation and other little,
mhm,
nanoparticles and things like that. So a
mhm.
lot more people have been talking about that, but that's a really great way to, pretty much for free in your bathtub detox. Sweat in that for about 20 minutes, rinse off in your purified shower filter, fill your bathtub up with that purified shower filter. And then the other thing that you could do is sauna. So whether or not you have like a sauna that you sit in or a sauna blanket, doing those a couple times a week before
Mhm.
bed. So doing the heat stuff before bed. So sauna use, ionic foot bath. I'm going to be doing an ionic foot bath tonight with family movie night.
Uh,
And those are really great ways. So the detox bath, borax, Epsom salts, baking soda, the saunaing, or the ionic foot baths. And then you can take things like binders and charcoal and all those other things as well. So when you start with purification, air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, and then also adding in detoxification, that's going
mhm.
to allow you to slow aging, help you get the best skin of your life. But we also do want to use clean skincare products too, and clean personal products that are also going to work, right? Not just be clean, but that also perform too. So it's kind of all of that. And then for the food stuff, it's good to do some actual testing instead of guessing who actually has time to do a food elimination diet. So
Mhm,
there are some
mhm.
really great test kits out there. So that's why you don't hear me say, here's the best skin diet, because it doesn't exist. It depends on what your body's epigenetics need.
Right. We're all different. We're all biochemically different. Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are such great tips and great, great rundown on how we need to be really holistic about this and taking care of ourselves and taking care of our skin. I love how you combine all the biohacking with skincare. It's so important.
Well,
It's
it's
just
just key, right?
it's
So I got
just
Dave
so
Asprey
important.
ready for his a book cover of Superhuman.
Yeah.
And I remember I did, and for other people too, fractionated laser resurfacing. Resurfacing. Not every laser out there is good. I have a short list of the ones I recommend because some are actually
Okay.
terrible and destroy the skin, but some are really good. But usually these require a number of
Mhm,
days of downtime and redness. And then I just started to see these biohackers heal so quickly, right? And my radiant clients, it's like, okay, there's something to this. If we can get
yes.
the lifestyle combined with the rejuvenation, we're going to get the best outcomes. And so that's what I really started to do. And that's
Mhm.
why people started to fly in to see me from all over the globe and meet with me online since 2017.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're very much aligned there. I do body, mind, spirit, and energy field too, and the whole holistic pieces, because I found that we're whole people and we can't do one thing at a time, and yes, your brain is your master control tower. Hey, so Rachel, if you were going to leave us with I don't know, a brain tip you haven't shared, what would be your best brain tip for us here today? Give us a brain tip and a skin tip that maybe you haven't shared.
All right. Well, this is actually what I opened up our talk with today. What is radiance? In accordance with Ayurvedic medicine, the 10th body is the radiant body. Now, what is radiance? Radiance is the electromagnetic projection of all of the other 10 bodies of you,
Mhm.
4 of those being body, mind, spirit, energy. Okay. So think about that for a second. You will be more beautiful. You will be more radiant when your electromagnetics are balanced, when you're more pure, and all of your different body systems are humming along just so, including your brain. You will literally emit an energy that the right people want to be around, you're going to start to attract the right people, the right opportunities, and your life will actually become much better because you're literally functioning from a more radiant frequency. You've been able to
Yes.
clear out the cobwebs. So
Mhm.
that's going to help your brain. It's going to help your skin. It's going to help your relationships, your personal, professional aspects. So when people work with me, sure, they initially work with me to get clearer skin and get guidance on products, but boy, are they in for a treat when they hear me go a little bit deeper on certain topics to really help cultivate healthy skin and radiance from the inside out so that we simply
Mhm.
make more radiant humans. Because at the end of the day, the world needs more of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So beautifully said. Well, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. If you resonate with what Rachel's saying here, definitely go to RachelVarga.ca and check out. She has a store there with some amazing products. Again, everything there is natural. I've used some of those products. They're going to be good for your skin. Um, Definitely want to do a one-on-one consultation with her so you can learn more about you and more about your skin, what's good for you. Because again, we're all different. So Rachel dives into that. You'll see. So if that's something you want to be doing, definitely check that out as well. And we'll put a little code here for you so you can get some discount on some of those first products. So, gosh, Rachel, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us today. And I just love talking with you. We could talk for hours, actually, couldn't we?
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
I
Yeah, we
mean,
were just
I've got
chatting
even more
yesterday
going
too.
now. My brain's going fast. I'm like, okay, we could, I want to dive into the next.
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah,
have to have you back to dive into the next products. And because you and I are both growing all the time, so there's going to be new things coming on board.
for
Yeah,
sure.
few
And
months down the line.
just an FYI, the what I'm extending to everybody, promo code Louise Swartzwalter is 15% off your one-on-one and products over at RachelVarga.ca. And for those of you just looking for some more free stuff, I have a free guide at skincarechecklist.com. And then with that, you're going to get some extra bonuses, some tips on how to use the products you already have. But definitely book that one-on-one. And then I have some free live weekly master classes too, where I warmly invite you to attend live and free, get to know me a little bit, and ask for questions live. We talk about all sorts of fun things, stress management, skin rejuvenation, seasonal skin tips, all sorts of cool things. So I look forward to getting to know many of you.
Oh, that's so awesome. So awesome. You're so beautiful. So thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your wisdom. Definitely check out Rachel. We'll put all those links here for you. And remember, everyone, follow your heart, but take your brain with you.